Hi guys, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery, and I'm located in Van.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Highland Heights, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hello, we are live.
Hello! Ryan's
I'm
doing
in the
something new
studio
and
today. Oh,
we've converted him.
for now. Got to do stuff that's quiet. I'm not throwing on the wheel, but I'm handling some mugs. Very manageable. I actually did it
And
last week or a couple weeks ago with Isaac when we were chatting.
yeah,
Yeah, I was finishing up sponge holders, so I was like cutting them and sponging them off and stuff.
yeah, it has to be something that's mindless, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm mainly doing it for audio so that I'm not disturbing the like cutting my audio out while I'm talking. So kind of wanted something
Yeah,
that's a little more controlled. My hands are pretty dry. I don't think I would want to be thrown on the wheel while I'm doing this. But
for, for sure, for sure,
yeah,
for sure.
feels like back in
Well,
the old days.
yeah, bringing it back to the basics.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So what's new? It's been a bit since we've chatted. We saw each other at NCECA. Had a little week off since then.
yep. Doesn't feel like it's been a week. It feels like it's been 10 years, but yes. Um, yeah. All things good here. I'm not doing a bunch of clay, but I will say that I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit, but I will say that at NCECA, I was pretty happy to come away with a uh, a new idea for the styles that I've been doing to kind of incorporate both things that I like. So that's pretty cool. And just working away. But now that I don't have to like make anything for NCECA, I haven't really been in the studio almost at all in the last week and a half.
Hmm.
I need to take a break.
Well, were you on kind of a you were going kind of quick to restock some stuff or finish some things before NCECA, weren't you?
Yeah, I did a few things for NCECA and then huzzah, we're here. And now I don't need to. But I was thinking that it would be a good idea to maybe make $200 at least of work worth of work so that I can pay for my studio, you
Mm,
know?
yeah.
So I'll probably do that.
It
Just
seems like
like,
a pretty achievable goal.
yeah, all I have to do is
$200 a
make,
month. Yeah.
yeah, all I have to do is really make like 4 cups that are $50. That's 200 bucks.
There you go. Make four
Yeah,
cups, sell four cups. Or make
yeah,
10
I can
cups,
do
sell four cups.
exactly. I can do that. So, yeah. But yeah,
And
nothing. Wait, there is one thing that I did. I went to my first time going somewhere on the weekend was this last weekend. I went with a friend that I met at Create Studio, the place that I did my first workshop that is out here. It's the local studio in Statesville. And I met a friend there, and they own a house up in Black Mountain, which is near Asheville. And so I went there with her, and we did a deviled egg competition, not an eating competition, a making competition. And we both lost.
would you
And
participate in a deviled egg eating competition if that was the thing?
no, no, I wouldn't.
I'm not.
No.
I don't really like deviled eggs, so I'm not a fan. But
Love deviled eggs, but also I think it's one of those things where I love my deviled eggs mostly because like I put so many pickles in. Mine just tastes like a pickle. My deviled
I didn't
eggs,
know there was so much variety in deviled eggs. I just, you know.
well, a lot of like mustard and horseradish and stuff in their deviled eggs, and literally all I do is put pickle juice and pickles in mine. It's just like
Mm.
pickle. It's a pickle. And so, yep. that and mayo, obviously, I guess. But and then we walked around, and I'm gonna turn on my video really quick. We walked around, and I got this thing. It's called a Needoh, Needoh, and it's a cube, but it has like gel in it, and you can squish it, and it is the most satisfying thing I have ever experienced. It's like if you let
Is
it
it
be,
meant
it
to be
goes
like a
back to,
stress ball or like what is it? What's its function?
yeah, it's meant to be like a stress ball. And it's just so great. I don't know why I haven't had one of these before. I played with it the entire drive home.
Mm.
Like, I also different kinds of like Play-Doh and thinking putty. I got a lot of like sensory things while I was there. And I also spent far too much money on earrings while I was there. Surprise,
Oh.
surprise.
Had you been to
But
Asheville
yeah,
very much before? Or well, you're in Black Mountain, but had you been through Asheville?
and now I've only been to the Walmart in Asheville and then also chased down an ice cream truck in Asheville.
Oh, okay. What's your ice cream truck order?
Well, apparently it's an ice cream sandwich truck that we let in because they needed to get over. And then my friend was like, "Oh my God, they have the best ice cream sandwiches. Follow him." And so we followed him.
Ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah, and I was supposed to get the oatmeal raisin cookie with like
Ooh.
a crisp in the middle, but he didn't give me that. He gave me the molasses with the honey. Oh, with a chai in the middle. That was also delicious. I was trying to decide between the two anyway, so I'm okay with him giving me the wrong thing. He was high as a kite, but I mean I can't confirm that he was high as a kite, but I'm pretty sure he was. Anyway, also it was only his first thing of the like first sale of the day, so I'm sure he was kind of. And also we did stalk him to get him. So
You said, hey, we let you in back there. Can we get an ice cream?
yeah, basically. And then we made him take a picture with us, and I was like, oh my God, poor guy. But yeah, by the end of the weekend, I didn't want to talk to anybody. It was a lot of talking. So
So you
finally
specifically went
recovered.
there for the deviled egg competition, or
Did
just because? Oh, wow.
no, my friend texted me and was like, "Hey, there's a deviled egg contest on Sunday at my friend's pottery studio. You want to go?" And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I want to go." And you know what's even funnier is that she was like, "The more eggs you make, the better chances you have." And so we made like 16 eggs. That's 30 halves. And then the directions said to cut them in quarters. And so we cut each of those halves and quarters. But I
Oh
think
my gosh.
we were supposed to cut the halves in half. And so like the eggs would be in quarters, not eighths. And
Yeah.
and also I dyed my eggs with food coloring. And
So
so
everybody
anyway,
knew which ones were yours.
both had like 180 samples.
Oh
And
my
there were some
gosh.
people that only had, like 6 eggs.
With the
So,
price
and
of eggs these days.
yeah, and we had fresh chicken eggs.
Oh, did that make a
Yeah.
difference for people? Like, I don't. Hmm.
Well, we
I suspect it
lost.
probably would.
So somebody brought quail eggs and did deviled quail eggs, which I think is kind of creepy, but that's fine. Can you imagine
It,
eating a tiny, tiny quail egg?
no, I've never had quail egg.
You know what? Next year I should do an ostrich egg.
That would be massive.
Just
You cut that
one.
thing into sixteenths.
Yeah, just one.
One ostrich egg.
You know
Be
what
like,
my
what
egg
the hell is
name
this?
was? What?
You'd be like, what the hell is this?
I know. Do you know what my egg name was? The recipe name?
No, what was it?
Dillvilled eggs.
Dillville eggs. Nice.
Yeah. Got that one from the famous Patty Murphy.
Oh,
Mirtha,
really?
actually. I want any puns or anything like that. I text Patty and I'm like, yo, I need
What
some
you got?
help. Yeah, she few good ones.
Nice. Okay. So how many people were there to like sample? Because that's a lot of eggs.
Um, it was so weird. I feel like in my food competition mind that is, not very experienced, I thought we would have like a party and everybody would try the eggs and then they'd announce the winners. But because it was such a tiny shop, you've actually been there. It's like a itty bitty shop, and so they had to like kind of regulate how many people could go in the shop at each time. So
Seems
they
like they
just
should have
like
had it on the sidewalk, but the sidewalk is probably city property, so they probably couldn't do too much out there.
yeah, so like they had people go in one at a time and vote and then like leave. And so
Like you had your private voting booth, sample booth.
and then they called me yesterday to tell me that I did not win.
They didn't even announce it the same day?
Oh, they didn't.
Oh my gosh. It seems like they would have put it on social media or something. Hey, thanks to everybody that came out. Here's the winner.
I don't know.
Wow.
But yeah.
Hmm.
So I didn't win the egg contest. Totally fine. I didn't think I was gonna win, but
Did
would
the
have been
winner get
nice.
something special?
What?
Did the winner get something special?
A deviled egg tray.
Oh, like they had a ceramic one that they made.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I've never made one of those, but seems cool.
Yeah. So that was what happened this weekend.
That was the weekend. It rained a shitload here, so we didn't really do a ton. We studio days, and we ended up going to Louisville Saturday night, Sunday for Rachel's parents had a vow renewal at their church, so we went to that on Sunday. 40
Oh,
year
that's nice.
renewal, 40-year anniversary. So,
Oh.
yep.
It's kind of crazy that our parents have been married for 40 years ish.
Yeah, that's a long time.
How long have your parents been married?
Um, I actually don't know.
I think have been married for like 45.
I feel like, man, I should know. What I know their anniversary, but I don't know what year they got married. I'm gonna guess they probably got married in uh
I feel like your
84 or
parents got
something. 84 would be 20, they were 24 years old, maybe?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
I
know.
think they really close to when my parents got married.
Yeah, I mean they're sick. They were born in 1960, so like I remember that pretty easy. Nice round number. But
Yeah, and your parents earlier in age than my parents. My parents got married later, I think, because they were born in 55 and 56.
yeah, I'm
But
not really sure. I should probably know that, but I know when their anniversary date is.
I'm texting
But
Deech right now.
yeah, I'm gonna guess
Well,
1984. Because well,
uh,
I don't know. I mean, my brother was born in 87, so they would have been married for 3 years. That sounds about right. I'm saying 84 or 86.
okay, I just texted your mom. We'll see what she says.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah. What did you do after? And I know we're going to talk about NCECA, but you guys went places after, right?
Um, let's see. You're talking about just in the city and stuff?
Well, I saw some pictures of you in the mountains.
Oh yeah, we just drove up to the edge of. Well, we got the Thirst. It's called Thirst. It's kind of like a swig alternative.
Yes, it
So we
is.
got that in town, which was hard to find one open on a Sunday in Utah. So we did find one. It was like a little drive-through situation tucked between a car wash and some other business, but we got that. It was pretty good. And then we went to kind of the east edge of the city and we kind of drove up a little mountain area and kind of looked around there and just kind of pulled off. We didn't like go all the way up, but just kind
Yeah,
of pulled off and looked at a couple spots. So
nice.
yeah, that
For
was
the
nice.
for those,
I didn't mind navigating the city. It was pretty nice.
yeah. For those of you who don't know what swig is the Utah equivalent to Starbucks essentially because they don't drink coffee, even though they have Starbucks in Utah. But the Mormon religion doesn't drink hot coffee or hot caffeinated tea. So but they can drink cold caffeine, i.e. pop. So or soda.
Soda
So
shop.
yeah, it's a drive-through soda fountain that you can add whatever you want to said sodas. The most popular drink is called the Texas Tab, and that is Dr. Pepper with coconut and vanilla. But you can like get any drink you want with any flavorings. Like my favorite thing is a Sprite with raspberry puree, and that tastes like a Shirley Temple, and but better. But yeah, like they have different mixes and stuff like you would not believe. And they drink giant drinks. Like
Mhm. This one we
like
got the smallest one. Ours was 16 ounce, so we didn't go too crazy, but they had
anybody
some big ones.
at 16 ounce is like not a serious swig person. Like 44 ounces like the norm. And that's like a fucking big gulp. It is giant. It is so big. I think a big gulp's actually 64 ounces, but like no, a super big gulp, the one in the bucket. But
A fucking bucket. Oh my
but
gosh.
it is insanity how much soda pop they drink in Utah. It's insane.
Yeah, mine was I got the Sprite base with, I want to say it did have coconut and it was Tiger's Bloods, or maybe Tiger's Blood was the coconut. So Tiger's Blood, I think, is strawberry and coconut or something. Just cherry and
Yeah.
coconut. Uh, it was good. I'm kind of curious what the Dr. Pepper options tasted like. I was kind of between the Dr. Pepper ones and the Sprite ones, so I
Yeah,
was
and
happy with it. Sprite was pretty good.
I don't know what that brand has. I've only ever been to Swig, but there's so many knockoffs. And like who knows?
They did have one like you were talking about, the coconut with the Dr. Pepper and the raspberry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or did you say coconut or vanilla?
Coconut and vanilla, but they have a raspberry one too that tastes like fucking candy. I got it once and I could only drink like 3 sips of it. It was so fucking sweet
Okay.
that you can handle it. And I can handle sweet.
Yeah, I'm not as crazy about like vanilla Coke and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't want anything with vanilla. But the
Yeah.
raspberry puree, those kind of fruit purees sounded good.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so that was a nice little experience. We were there and there was some bad storm Sunday, so they delayed the flight. We didn't leave until the evening, and then we didn't actually get back home until about 1 a.m. on Monday morning, technically.
All right. That's what Erica
So,
said.
so it kind of sucked on the having to work Monday morning, but we got back. We had a pretty chill day Sunday, so not too bad. It was nice. It's nice not having to like rush to the airport and do the whole 6 a.m. deal.
You want to hear about how I got back?
Yeah, you left. You had some interesting travels.
Um, so for those of you who don't know, I travel standby because stationary Andrew is my stationary husband, and he's not. He's just my gay best friend, and and he's a flight attendant, so I get his benefits because he's awesome. And that was my Christmas present. But so anyway, I fly standby, which means that uh in a particular case like in NCECA in Utah, you have to really be specific about what flights you want to get on because you don't know if any of them are going to work out. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess I hadn't really figured out the flight that I was going to go on. And so I just kind of like chose the earliest one and then figured I'd just take it from there because that's what kind of what Rachel said to do. And so Erica took me to the airport at midnight, essentially. Well, at like 10, and I was
On
gunning
Friday,
for
so
the
like before the weekend got crazy, like after she got done demoing Friday, and yeah, so she went Friday.
yeah. And so I barely got on the flight. There were 3 spots and 5 people on the wait list. So I'm pretty sure I got the last seat. I got an exit seat, which means nothing to me because my legs are literally 2 feet long. And uh was next to I actually ended up being next to somebody that was from NCECA, surprise, surprise. And
Oh,
um they were headed somewhere else, but we chatted for a little bit and I'm not going to tell you who it is. I'll tell you later, Ryan. But I'm not going to tell anybody who it is. But it was so funny because I was like, "Oh yeah, I don't remember what I said, but he was like, "Yeah, I'm here for actually an educational artist conference." And I was like, "Oh yeah." See? He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh yeah, me too." And and he was fucking high as a goddamn kite. And
you interacting with people that are high as kites, interestingly.
this one was so past gone. And he was so nice, so nice. And we started chatting and we were just joking around about stuff. But he was yeah, I'm not I don't
It was,
even
I mean, it's a red night. It's a red eye flight, right? I mean, it was the last. So you're flying during the middle of the night. It sounded like.
yeah, he basically was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of gone right now because I need to go to sleep and I know I'm not going to be able to go to sleep." So, and I was like, "Bro, don't need to tell me anything. You do you,
I
boo."
get it. We don't have to chat for 3 hours or 4 hours or whatever.
Yeah. But it was so funny. I was giggling so hard because we were talking about some funny shit. Um, as only like disgruntled potters can do, you know? Um,
Yeah, because you had to fly into Charlotte, and I mean, I'm guessing you flew American, so there's probably other people that were from NCECA on that one. We
yeah,
probably
exactly.
connect through there. Yeah.
But it was great conversation and it was funny and I mean you could tell that we were both fucking gone, like exhausted. So,
I mean, that
yeah.
schedule probably worked out. I mean, did you feel pretty good getting back home I mean, you got back Saturday morning, kind of in the middle of the night, but
Okay, so my biggest concern was getting an Uber back to where I live because it's 40 miles away, so it's like 40 minutes with no traffic. And I was like, I'm gonna have to rent a car because the Uber's gonna be so expensive, blah blah blah. But then I realized that it might not be as expensive as I thought it was gonna be. So, I just because if you like plan an Uber ahead, I feel like they tack on like $150. It's ridiculous. So they definitely do not like, they punish you for being a planner. So,
yeah, they got all those categories for like group up or, wait and save. And, if you plan ahead and you save them some effort,
yeah,
kind
but
of
you
lousy. Not good. Yeah.
so much more money. So when I got there, I got an Uber and this like lovely lady picked me up and she took me all the way up to here and it was like $50 and I gave her a pretty gnarly tip and which was way cheaper than anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. And you don't have to worry about waiting for the rental car in the middle of the night.
Right. But I
and
got here.
returning it and all that shit. Yeah, that's probably cheaper.
Yeah, I got here and I realized that I didn't have a key to my car because Preston had my key, who lives across the street. But it was 6 in the morning and I knew that he was doing a show on Saturday and no, Friday and Saturday. And
Oh
so I
shit.
got there Saturday morning and I texted him. I was like, when you wake up, do you mind dropping my key off? You can throw it out the window if you need to, like as you drive by. And so I sat in my chair, my like hammock chair, for like
Uh,
an hour. And then
Luckily, the show was local because otherwise you would have been like, I'm out of town.
it was local. And he called me like the night before, so I knew that he would, was there. I should have told him just to leave the fucking car unlocked. But
That's funny.
then he called me and he's like, I'll be over there in a second. And I walked across the street to his mom's house where all of his kilns are. And he handed me the keys and then he handed me 4 chicken eggs.
He's like,
He
good
was like,
morning. Here you go.
yeah, he was like, you'll probably want some food here. I was like, I love you. And then I took a nap and then went to his show because I wanted to see it. And I was like up all day and I felt great. And then I felt like I got hit by a bus on Sunday. So,
Wow. Yeah, I'd imagine.
yep.
Were you like engaging with people a lot at the show, or were you just kind of like,
Oh, yeah. I sold
hanging
pots for
out?
people.
Oh, really? Wow.
I had 2 friends that were there. And then I even met somebody that listens to the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I walked
Sweet.
and she said to her husband, I think Becca just walked past.
Oh my gosh, that's fun. She was selling, I suspect.
She was selling. So, no, it was really good. It felt really good I actually signed up for the show next year, I think.
Oh,
I
really?
I
What
might do
show is it?
It's called I might do the show next year. We'll see. It's called the Catawba Valley Pottery Show.
Oh, it's like a strictly pottery only.
Yeah.
Sweet.
But like I'll stick out like a sore thumb if I do it.
Is it like a bunch of earthy pots or something?
Lots of face jugs and lots of brown things. And
Oh, so
lots of
it's been around a while. A lot of
yeah. Well, there's some even antique jugs that are like all brown and stuff.
oh.
Really brown is what I got out of it. There's a lot of brown.
Sounds sounds like a lot of lowercase p potters there though.
No, no, no. Actually a lot of uppercase pea powders. Like
With the
it's like
face jugs and stuff?
face jugs are an uppercase P Catawba Valley like thing.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind.
Everybody was really friendly, and there were some like not super advanced potters, and then there were some like super advanced potters. So I feel like Preston's and Sarah's stuff was the coolest stuff there, but I might be biased. And but yeah, it was good. It was good.
Great.
Yeah, there was even a crystalline guy there.
Nice. I mean, you probably hadn't gone to many shows around there, right?
None, exactly zero.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of started to be show season, so there's probably not a lot of options in the.
Wanted to go to that one anyway. I was super bummed that I couldn't go to it because I've been hearing about it from Preston. So yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
Worth the trip, and then you got to just veg out on Sunday.
Well, I died on Sunday and then I went to work on Monday. So
Mm, reborn on Monday.
barely.
Was
I
the
think
was the rest of the crew that was at from Speedball that was there? Did they were they like recovering still?
I asked Megan, I was like, bro, did you feel like a car hit you? Like when you got back? And she was like, yes. I was like, thank God I was not the only one. Because I literally was like not prepared for how shitty I felt on Sunday. I was not
Hmm.
prepared. Did you feel shitty the next day? Did you take Monday off?
I did not take Monday off. I worked, but it was kind of a slow day. I think I ended up napping on the couch Monday night, though. I think I did take it easy Monday night.
Oh, okay.
Because I mean, I was on the end of an illness. Like I was struggling a little bit through NCECA still, and I was kind of on the tail end of it. But and then I finally like got better probably halfway into the week after NCECA, like actually feeling like 100% because I felt like I was looming at like 80% or 85% during NCECA. And then a lot of people get sick after and all that stuff. Um,
God, do you know what I just realized?
well,
The suitcase that I took to NCECA, when I was leaving, I stuffed a banana in there and I have not opened it since I got back. I'm gonna open it right now.
nice and sealed up banana. Good
It's
old
not even,
suitcase banana.
it's not, oh, I can smell it.
Oh man. Was that supposed to be your airplane banana?
Yeah, that was my airplane banana. Oh no.
That's
Where'd it,
gross. Give that banana back to the earth.
oh, we're good, we're good, we're good. Bro,
As long
I would almost eat this banana.
as long
It's
as the peel didn't get punctured, it's probably like,
been perfectly preserved.
oh, that's not that bad.
Barely even brown. I'm so impressed.
Are you gonna eat it though?
I might eat it right now. It's
All
very banana.
right.
Also, if anybody wants to, oh, it smells good. If anybody wants to be depressed about bananas and never eat them again, go listen to the podcast Swindled about the banana situation. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about bananas.
Is it about
Oh
like how
yeah,
they
this
harvest
is a
bananas or something?
what?
Is it about how they harvest bananas or something?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, I'm
side on the
immune
banana.
from that because I'm allergic to bananas, so I cannot eat them. So,
Yeah, well, they used to put a pesticide on bananas that made men impotent. The people that
oh
harvest.
really?
Yeah. And like,
Oh shit.
can you imagine how many people that like wanted to have families and stuff, and then they just like find out that they can't have kids because they work harvesting bananas?
Yeah, that sounds like the Teflon situation with like the movie Dark Waters, where they're disposing of stuff in the waterways nearby, and it's infecting the animals and the
Yeah,
people that drink the water in those areas. Yeah, like Aaron Brockovich situation, like stuff like that. Yeah. Whew.
yeah, yeah. But not only that, but the banana system situation. The reason that they have bananas in like Colombia and shit is because they were building railroads through the like Colombia, and they put banana trees on the side of the railroad so that they wouldn't have like that the workers wouldn't have to stop and eat.
Oh, so they just like grab bananas off the trees?
Yeah, but that's like so they wouldn't have to feed them.
Oh gosh.
And then there's like so much death in the banana industry. Like it's like linked with the mafia and shit like that.
Jeez. The
Yeah,
banana mafia.
absolutely fucked.
What is
And
it? What is that again if people want to look that up?
it's called Swindled. I'll find the episode because I just listened to it.
Swindled. Okay. So that's a podcast that okay.
Yeah.
It's like one-off episodes. It's not like a whole episode serialized thing about the banana industry. It's just a one-off episode.
No, it's about people who swindle other people.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of financial crimes in it. It's a really good show, but
Huh.
it's depressing. You're already depressed and you hate the government. Keep that in mind.
Yeah,
Because this,
yeah. As if there's enough reasons not to hate the government. There's not
right?
already enough reasons. if you want to lose trust in more people, listen to this podcast.
Podcast. Like seriously, I listened to the banana one. I was super depressed. And then I listened to one about Flint, Michigan and water, and I got even more depressed. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like
And then you're
it was
eating
terrible.
banana for lunch, and you're like, can't do it.
No,
Can't do it.
I straight up stopped buying bananas for a while. The only reason I have this banana is because you bought them.
Well, I didn't buy them, but yeah, the group bought them at NCECA. I mean, it's an easy fruit to just. I mean, obviously they're super cheap and easy to just grab and go. So I like the
Well, yeah,
oranges. The oranges are pretty good. Y'all had there, so I was happy with
dude,
that.
those are Suma oranges, and they're the Sumo. They're the best.
They're pretty good. Yeah, we got our Costco hot dog fix while we were there. That was pretty good.
I'm so bummed that I wasn't able to go with you.
Yeah, we got Costco hot dogs and we got In and Out as well.
Good.
That was pretty tasty. All right, do you want to do a maker of the moment? Do you have yours handy?
Yes, maybe.
Maybe.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. I'm almost here. I've almost found the bananas. Okay, it's called the oh fuck. God damn it. It's only if you subscribe, but it's called the Octopus United Fruit Company. That's the episode that it's called.
You even subscribed to this. Okay.
Well, I figured people subscribe to our podcast because they listen to it, and so I figured I should subscribe to somebody's, pass it
Oh, like
on.
yeah, like a Patreon situation.
Yeah. It's only like $5 a month. Plus I was listening to it pretty heavily. And he does a lot of research.
Yeah.
The banana is extremely acidic, you know. So I've now stopped eating it. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Maker of the moment. My maker of the moment is Carol Harris. My account, the other account. Carol Harris, and she's from Valley, BC, Canada, or Comics Valley, BC, Canada. And she's got a few followers. She's like 14.5. And
Okay.
um she does a lot of slip trailing. And of course my thing's not like popping up. Okay. She does a lot of slip trailing and her stuff is very like it reminds me of it's very like French, you know.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know, it looks regal. It's uh like there's a lot of like
Looks
celadon.
really like formal,
Yeah, it's like blue
like
celadons
tight. Yeah.
and celadons and like it's very clean. It doesn't have dimples, not like Charlotte's stuff, like Charlotte's is French. I should do Charlotte's next.
Actually,
Uh,
Isaac just did Charlotte last week.
what? That
Yeah.
bit. Why does he always steal my people?
I don't know. That was completely unrelated. That happened. He just did it last week.
Well,
It would have been funny if you said Charlotte this week because I would have been like, sorry.
it kind of reminds me of Charlotte's, but also it doesn't. Like it has that air to it just because of the glazes, but it yeah, it's just I think it's really cool looking and it's very well done. You can tell that she cares a lot about craft. And it's something odd for me to say this like typically I'm not a huge fan of like simple colors, but this one I like, you know. Typically I'm
Mhm.
like rainbows. But this one, I really am a fan of like the simplicity and the colors for this.
Hmm.
She's
There's a
really
lot of detail work with the slip trailing and
in the
textures and stuff. So,
lot of dots, and I really love that.
hmm.
Yeah,
All right. So that's Carol Harris 9111 on Instagram.
that's Carol.
Yes. They're all hand built. Okay, that's cool.
Love her even more.
Okay, so my person is Scott Jones, SJ underscore ceramics on Instagram. And I've been seeing his work recently. He does like a hydro creator of hydro glaze. So it's like he's combining hydro dipping, which is where you have that like interesting design on water, the surface of water, and usually they do it on I want to say like uh carbon fiber and stuff like that, or like helmets or
Yeah,
like hoods of cars and like those different surfaces, metals and all that. And he's using some technique to hydro dip his pots. It looks like he's putting it almost looks like you're just putting an underglaze transfer on top of the water and then he's dipping it into the transfer and it's organically kind of wrapping the pot.
yeah, I'm watching a little video that he's doing. I think that he's screen printing. He's screen printing onto like a clear plastic, and then he's transferring that to the water somehow.
Yeah, pretty neat. So he's got a lot of super organic, kind of like collapsed form looking shapes. So the wrap is kind of like tight line work that you wouldn't expect to fit nicely on the piece. So it's kind of interesting of looking at the finished piece like, oh, how did that tight design get on that super not tight form? So,
Cool. I just watched a video of it. It's so fucking cool. It looks like he's putting his underglaze onto rice paper, and then when he puts the rice paper into the water, it dissolves. Or whatever paper he's putting it onto, it dissolved, and that's
mm,
how he's like, that is so cool.
yeah, that's neat. Kind of like kind of like yeah, right. Is rice paper like the cornstarch peanuts or something like that?
Yeah, they just dissolve in water.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and I love his style, like his hand making style, hand building. It's very organic and loose. Or maybe it's not
Mhm.
hand built. Maybe it is thrown and altered, but it's really pretty.
Yeah, so he came up on my feed semi recently. It's pretty neat technique. So I was like, yeah, let me shout him out. And obviously there's some atmospheric fire pots, so that doesn't hurt as well.
Huh.
Uh SJ underscore ceramics, Scott Jones.
Those are really cool. Really, really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely go look him up.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's got about 1,800 followers currently.
Ultra famous. He just posted videos of him dipping his pieces in there over and over and over. He'd be
It
wow.
was probably this one that I saw that got 1 million views. I think that might have been the first one that I um, found him from.
Oh yeah, 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 that shorter one.
It's at the very top of his reels. Yeah, 1 million views.
That is so cool. Good for him.
Very satisfying. Yeah.
Okay, what's it again? Scott?
Scott Jones. It's SJ underscore ceramics.
There we go.
Scott Jones.
That is cool. Scott Jones sounds like a fake name.
His alias. It says pottery alias.
This is Pottery Alias.
What do you create with a pottery alias?
Yeah.
right. So if anybody is not
You,
familiar with the Maker of the Moment, you can find everybody in our highlights on our Instagram account on Wheel Talk Podcast Instagram. There's a
yeah,
story highlight at the top, and you can see everybody that we've highlighted. If you hear this in the future and you're like, oh yeah, I remember there's somebody I couldn't find them, you can find them there. So
yeah, and I always do it I always do it while we're doing the maker of the moment, so they're for sure up there. And I think Ryan does it when he does his little interviews
mhm.
too. So, um,
Yep.
yeah, that's why we're a little slower to talk, or I'm a little slower to talk because I'm always writing. But yeah, those are really cool. Do you know what? Before we start talking about NCECA, do you know what I've decided that I'm finally going to buy this year?
What?
I am going to buy a kiln, a baby kiln.
A baby kiln, like a 3 cubic foot kiln?
Yeah, not a micro kiln, but a baby kiln.
You've already got the test kiln.
Yeah, I already have the mini kiln. I'm ready for a baby kiln, I
Okay.
think.
Is that for like because you're making more cups or?
Yeah. Also, I feel like I'm probably gonna like settle down a little bit more, so it'll be nice to have another kiln. And
Hmm.
having that size will be nice. I'll probably still use the test kiln a lot. I'll tell you what, when Preston found out that the plug-in fire can go to cone 10, he was like, "What?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, I really want to test this glaze." And I was like, "Why don't you just put it in the baby kiln? You know, the test kiln." And he was like, "I can do that." And I'm like, "Yeah." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Go for it."
I haven't fired anything to cone 10 in there, but it's rated for cone 10.
I was like, "Go for it. You can do it." And he was like, "What?" And then I got back from NCECA and he's like, "Did you see that I fired it twice?" Because he thought that I had like the internet hooked up, but he doesn't have any internet. So, um, but yeah, he's been firing test glazes in my kiln, my little plug-in fire. So that's been pretty fun. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get the 3 cubic foot L&L kiln, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
How did it fire okay for him to cone 10?
Yeah, it fired great.
Nice. Okay. Did he have a witness cone and stuff in there to make sure it was good, or he just kind of like look at the glaze and like, oh, that looks good.
No, he just looked at the glaze because we're not
Sweet.
like that.
Yeah, because
But
I don't, I'm curious if there's a lot of people firing it that hot.
yeah, and I
Because,
mean like I think he's been firing for such a long time that and it's like me too, when you just like look at the clay and you're like, yeah, that's good enough. You know? Like
hmm
you kind of know what temp it got fired to because you've been firing it for so many times. So,
yeah.
but yeah, I've been thinking about it and like the last time I bought a kiln, I remember it was such a stressful decision to ask, like to be like, oh, do I want the fancy controller? Do I want the regular controller? And I ended up getting one regular, one fancy. And now with like L&L, you know, you don't have to like care. You just always get the fancy one, and that's kind of
hmm
nice.
Yeah. So which is there only one specific one that you're kind of thinking about at that size, or are there because I would guess it's all kind of the same kind of the fit, probably 15-inch shelf, so
Yeah.
they don't have like a wide short versus like a tall skinny.
No, yeah, yeah. 15-inch shelves. And that way you can put plates in there with stilts still. And, you know, like you can put 12-inch plates in on solid shelves, which is nice. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Sweet.
Pretty stoked.
Did you
Oh,
talk to L&L about that yet? Or are you just
yeah,
thinking
I
about it?
told Zika that I was thinking about getting one. Also,
Sweet.
this is wild. Okay, I talked to Dimitri at, well, no, I think I talked to Joseph at NCECA, and the last time I changed the elements out on the plug-in fire, which you haven't done yet, but I changed them out for my workshop, and I was a little confused, and I was like, why is there only one wire? Because most elements have a twisted wire that goes
Hmm.
out. and then it wraps around for the connector. And they realized that if it doesn't twist and they only have one wire going out, it's got better connectivity and
Hmm.
it's got like a better, it's got a better
It's got
flow.
more like points of contact surface area to.
And I think that's like the coolest thing ever. I was like,
Yeah,
damn.
Dimitri showed me that too because he was talking about that it doesn't you don't have to do the whole wrapping it around thing. So pretty neat. Yeah, he showed me that. I didn't realize that. I don't know why, but I could see for some reason I could see into the control panel easier at NCECA. I don't know if they just had amazing light in there or what,
Yeah.
but yeah, being able to change the elements out easier is nice. Because sometimes you got the crimper and all that stuff, but
Right. And I don't know if are they doing those on the bigger ones too?
he said that they're going toward that on all of them, as far as I know. He was saying they're kind of going toward that way of doing it. So
That's pretty exciting.
yeah,
Yeah.
even easier to change the elements.
Yeah, because that is like the worst part for me is bending the two. Like it hurts my hands. And and also cutting off the two twisted together, it's a lot. If you
Yeah.
don't have the right tools, it can be a lot. Thankfully, I have Preston, so now I always have the right tools, but um yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. All
Yeah.
right,
So
so as you're shopping around for that kiln and getting the parts and looking at, everything that you might need and power and wattage and all that, where are you gonna go find all that out?
hotkilns.com.
There we go. Yeah, it was nice getting to see all the folks from Illinois over there at NCECA.
Yeah, it was good.
You got to meet some new folks there from Illinois as well, so that was good.
I don't know if I'd ever actually met Joseph, but he's delightful.
I think I might have met him last year, but I'm not positive.
Yeah.
I definitely remember meeting Denise. And
Yeah.
then Mark is fairly new. Mark's the one that does all the website how-to videos and everything like that, YouTube.
Every time I walk past Dimitri at NCECA, we like would fist bump or high five.
Yeah, because the speedball booth is right next to it. So,
Yeah, it was right next to it. It was
hmm,
great.
yeah. All right. So what are we talking about today? Obviously, we've already kind of hinted at it in Sika stuff. We kind of shared Pat post in Sika, hit by truck, feeling, getting back, all that stuff. I definitely wanted to touch on because I saw uh, Emily M from Pascal Designs share some numbers about like how much money it costs to go for her.
Yeah,
And I thought that was kind of interesting to, talk about some ways that you can budget it a little bit, as well as just like overall thoughts from each of us, kind of how we felt about the conference as a whole, out in Salt Lake.
yeah,
For those who could make it, didn't make it, have never gone to one or have went to one and kind of balancing out what they want to get from it in the future. Because
yeah,
there's so many options, like it's overwhelming no matter how many times you've gone. I think just figuring out what you want to get out of it and being a little more decisive about, your goals for why you're there can
yeah.
hopefully help you not feel so overwhelmed. But
Also, I feel like we should probably, I think it would be smart of us to talk about things that we don't like because I know there's going to be a lot of people here listening that are probably have like bad FOMO. Um, and I think that even though NCECA is a great thing, also it might not be for everybody, and it can also be a really stressful thing too.
oh yeah, definitely don't. Yeah, one of the things on here was like don't. I want to say like don't feel like you have to go. like you can also just pick certain years that you want to go or places that you want to go, and it doesn't have to feel like an obligation. Like, oh, I've already went last year, so I have to go this year. You know, and like you said, better for certain people, not as good for other people. It's pretty overwhelming if there's too much stimulus. I can totally see that being tough for some people. Um,
And I mean, like, for people that work a 9 to 5, it's really hard. It's a really hard thing for people to like
oh yeah,
quantify, you know?
oh yeah, giving up the PT. I mean, this is the first time you had to. I mean, I don't know if did you technically use PTO or did you use unpaid time off to go?
Have PTO yet.
You don't
So
have PTO, so you just got like an exemption, or
yeah, because I'd already like signed up for it before I got the job. Not only did I sign up, but I literally
you were
went.
invited from them.
But it was really awkward to be like, yeah, I'm going to this conference, not with speedball, but for speedball. Um, like,
No. I
it,
mean, you basically worked as an extension of Speedball in your role at the conference, sort of.
no, I
Like,
was just,
I mean, you were yourself, but you were a personal artist for Speedball,
I was a
professional
person
artist for Speedball.
for speedball, but like, I wasn't like a booth person, you know, like, I didn't get a cool t-shirt, like a speedball t-shirt, Dell.
You didn't?
No,
Oh, I got one.
what?
I got like a last minute one. He was like, I have two left here. He gave myself and Will one.
I'm gonna give him so much shit about that.
Yeah, you should.
I will.
I
I'm
was
gonna,
I've never got one before, so I was
I've
pretty
never
happy
gotten one,
about it.
but I also got dinner, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah,
Anyway.
you had a couple dinners. So how did that work? Do you know if you got paid for that week of work, even though you weren't physically working at Speedball that week?
I didn't get paid, like, I didn't get a paycheck. No.
Okay, so it was unpaid work, unpaid time off.
It was unpaid time off, but yeah. But I got, you know, I had
Hmm.
yeah. I got a stipend for being an artist, essentially.
Right, you got paid to be there as an artist. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like uh, you kind of mentioned it after the fact, maybe you're around that, like committing a week. I mean, it doesn't have to be a full week, but committing time like that of paid time off from your day job. Like, if you only get 2 weeks of work, like, do you really want to, you know, ask for 3 or 4 days off of work for that?
Right, like I guess to me, uh, well, we'll just go out right out there and say that this potentially will be one of my last NCECAs in a while, probably. Okay. For a couple of reasons. One of them being I have a job now, and unless the job pays me to go for the job, which I don't think they will because I'm nobody at the job, um, I'm not going because the overstimulation, the cost of all the extra things, and the recuperation time, in my opinion, is not worth paid time off.
Hmm. If you were
Like,
energized by all the people and that was the only chance you have to see people that you want to see, it might be different.
right. But for me, as somebody who's potentially never missed anybody in my whole life, um, I'm
Never missed anybody in your whole life.
I'm totally fine with with not seeing people in person because I have so many relationships that are not in person, you know?
Hmm.
Like when I see people in person, I'm like, great, great, great. Especially when it's in like a setting like in Sika where you see them and you're surrounded by 4 billion people and you only get to talk for 2 seconds and like you never get into like the nitty gritty, you know? Like
Did
That
you have
doesn't,
that different years? Because I felt like I had more of that this year because I didn't have the commitment of actually um, doing a panel for NCECA, or like we didn't have a talk on the books for NCECA, the conference itself. So I felt like I had more opportunity to do that other stuff, like have actual free time, quote unquote.
I did have actual free time, I feel like, yes, but also I do feel like there's just a lot of those conversations that I'm just not used to. And um and I mean like I'll be the first one to admit the small talk is not my like best scenario.
Hmm.
Uh so but I mean like it's great to see people. I don't think it's not great to see people. I love seeing all my friends. Um but I also love talking to them in a different state too. So,
You'd rather go see somebody for a week, just you and them, than go see somebody for a week and see like 60 people that you would like to see or that you talk to virtually, but you see them for like a few minutes at a time.
that's exactly what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's a lot. You know, I mean, like NCECA for me is a lot.
Hmm.
And I literally last Thursday, I got home from work and I slept from fucking like I don't know. I slept from 4:30 p.m. until the next day because I needed all that sleep, you know? And
4:30 until you woke up for work the next day.
yeah, because I was fucking exhausted.
Hmm.
And I can't imagine being that exhausted and then having on top of that, knowing that I paid like $2,000 to go there, you know?
Hmm.
I mean, I still paid like $1,000 to be there, but in different forms, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it, I'm trying to think back to like the years that I went before I had other commitments with like companies and stuff where it helped offset the cost if I felt like it was a different experience. I mean, I knew less people, so in some ways I like there's more imposter syndrome, there's more like feeling like I'm lonely because I don't know a lot of people
Yeah.
the first couple years when I went, and then like when Wheel Talk was more of a thing, and when I had more partnerships with companies and I was demoing and stuff like that, like it makes it more worth. Uh, I feel like I belong there more,
Mm-hmm.
but there is still a lot of overstimulation with going to pop-ups and trying to hit all the things that you would like to hit. And it's kind of freeing to just be there lonely and not have expectations of what you have to hit because you don't know what to expect or
Yeah.
um and it like people aren't relying on seeing, not that people are like I got to see you this week, let's hang out for this thing or that thing, like, but there's friends that you see and you want to be able to spend time with them. So it is a little different of what I hope to get out of the experience while I'm there, but it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot. I remember the first year that I went was Minneapolis, and that was the first year I met you in
Hmm.
person. And I specifically remember leaving that and saying, I'm never going to that again. And then, or maybe saying, I'm not ever going to that unless somebody pays for my ticket. Like, and I still have that same, by the way, I still have that same view. If somebody's not paying for my ticket, I'm not fucking going. Um, so
So like if you didn't have flight benefits, like that would have been, I mean, I suspect that's a big, just getting there is a huge undertaking. Like I had just, my flight was like $500 or something like that just to get there. Like that would have been a sticking point for you, even if you were already on the fence
I
or
was
not even
supposed
on the fence.
to, like,
I missed that. What did you say?
I was supposed to be in Utah. Like in
Right. Yeah.
And so it would have worked out perfectly, right? And I mean, yeah, you're right. If I didn't have flight benefits, I wouldn't be there. There's no fucking way I could have afforded a $600 flight or some shit like that. There's no way.
Hmm.
Like, no, none.
So yeah, a big recommendation I would have for people, like, don't feel like you have to go every year, but also if it's not physically close to you, I I don't I mean, obviously there are unique things year to year that you're going to see one year that you're not going to see other years, but generally, like, it's fine to skip one or skip a few or skip them when you can only drive to them, you know? Depending on
Yeah,
where you're physically located, like if you have to fly all the way across the country, deal with the time difference, deal with uh you know, you're not going to be able to drive, so you might need a rental car, or you might need to do transit. There's other variables that you have to account for that are going to add up and make it more difficult to go. So don't feel like you have to go every year or have to go to a specific one just because certain people are going.
yeah. I will say, with all of my shit talking that just happened, uh, being in Speedball's booth was the best experience I've had at NCECA at large. Like being able to be in the booth the whole time as like a security blanket was really great.
Hmm. I was wondering if you felt like the commitment was too much because you basically had to be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the booth the whole day. I mean, maybe not the whole day. They probably were willing to give you some breaks and you can go walk around for an hour or two and it's not a big deal. But like, did that feel like as big of a commitment as what you went into it thinking?
No, not for me. It felt great. It felt great to be able to sit behind a table and have a table between me and other people. And like, yeah, I definitely was able to like go walk around and like they told me to take breaks, which I never did. And also like they had to remind me to eat a few times, but
That's like what you did last year when you were walking around, I
well, I
think.
bought snacks for everybody, but also I kept forgetting. Like one time I like couldn't make any words happen and I was like, "Oh shit, I haven't eaten anything." And I had to like stuff fucking cheese into my mouth. Your mom just texted me. She got married in 1982.
1982. Okay, so they were 22. 1982. Okay.
Now I'm gonna text my mom.
Nice. Good to know. 1982.
What date? Do you know what their date is?
June 19th, 1982.
Oh, that's right. I think that your mom and my mom, I think they got married the same year in the same month.
Oh, really?
My mom was June 6th.
Okay. Our anniversary is June 13th, so it's yeah, we're June anniversaries, and the reason I remember June, I mean, obviously it's their anniversary, but it's funny because there was a kid that went to school with me that his birthday was the exact same day, so he went to like grade school with me. It's a funny way. That was I always say like, hey, did you contact that kid about tell him happy birthday? Because it's the same day as their anniversary.
That's funny.
But well, that's good to hear that it wasn't overwhelming, or because I was wondering if you were worried about like what you were going to do, or because I was kind of worried you were going to be throwing a lot, or like your hands were going to be killing you from working all day.
Yeah,
But
no, I figured out that I could just paint all day. I
mhm.
was set. I think the first day was kind of hard, but the second and third day was great. Um, I did a little bit of throwing, not as much as I thought I would do, but they had so many demos of like people.
Yeah, it kind of buffers you a little bit that
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about too many eyes on you at once and
Yeah.
building a crowd and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. But no. It was really great, and they let me sell my stuff there, which was like even more amazing. And that that was like low stress. Um, I don't know. I felt like that part was like probably the best part. I definitely do know that if I would have been like let out willy-nilly and like you hadn't been around me, which is usually, you and I are together in those situations. Like
Hmm.
if I was just by myself, I would have probably had to like find a corner and just sit by myself for like a hot minute,
Which is
like
totally
the
fine.
whole
A
night.
lot of people do that. I would recommend that for a lot of people. If you're overexerted, even if you're like, I would love to see all this stuff, but I need to like, go sitting on the carpet floor in some place at the conference center and eat my lunch or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, constantly going from one thing to the next is a lot.
Did you see that Mud Tools had flood kits?
I did. What are those? I wasn't familiar with. It looked like just a kind of a mixed bag of like MVP mud tools items. Is that
No,
is it
yeah,
like
but
a like a pottery basics kit?
those are the things that floated down the river.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they are literally the ones that got like washed out that they couldn't like sell because they weren't like quote unquote perfect. And so they sold them in flood kits.
Oh, and then were they priced differently or something?
Yeah, they were cheaper somehow. Um, which
That's
I think
cool.
fucking hilarious and amazing. And also Destiny, the person that runs the office, who's really amazing. Um, she made a sticker that had all of the like they have a flood sticker and it was a square and they had all their ribs floating down the river. Like their ribs like,
Hmm.
kind of like a boat in a river, but just to symbolize how literally all their ribs floated down the river. And I thought it was fucking hilarious. It's
Wow.
right across from our booth too, and it was really great because they're pretty awesome.
Yeah, they gave me some faceting tools.
Oh, really?
The gentleman that was over there came over and gave me some tools because I was in my demo, I was doing some texture on some cups, and he gave me a faceting tool. I was kind of using I was using a diamond core tool to do some of the outside kind of varied texture. And he stopped by and was like, "Hey, I've got some of these if you want to try them out." So I gave
That's
him
so
gave
cool.
him a go. It takes a little learning to, obviously try a new tool and make sure it works properly with your hand motions and stuff. But yeah, that was pretty nice.
I bought those metal tools that they have. They came in a little bag.
And it's kind
And
of like a sculpting tool, sort of.
yeah, like sculpting tools and stuff. And I'm really excited about them. I try to support mud tools every year if I can.
Hmm.
Uh, I don't know
Well, yeah,
why. They just kind of,
I mean, that's a great feat for them to make it after the hurricane and rebuilding and everything
yeah.
like that. Like that's, showing up. They're always there. They always show up for NCECA, so that's
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I know why I show up and support mud tools, but because they're amazing. But also, it's just like, I don't know why. I just love, like, they're the one people that I spend like a fair amount of money on because they're so personable,
Hmm.
like that are actually selling stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't feel guilty about it either, which is nice.
Hmm. Yeah, so my like I was trying to think back to the NCECA overall for me. Um, I actually got in Wednesday late morning, like 10:45 in the morning or something, and then we kind of like took our time and got into the conference hall, the like expo hall area at like 3 or something. So I
Yeah.
think I felt like I spent like 80% of my time in the expo hall for the whole conference, but I still feel like I didn't get enough time in there. That's that's kind of my home base for NCECA usually is the expo hall, walking around to the vendors and talking to other potters and talking to businesses and stuff like that. So, I like being in that area the most. The talks and conference kind of things I'm not as crazy about, but I still feel like I didn't get enough expo hall time. So I felt like I should have got there a little earlier, maybe went to conference center Wednesday morning and kind of chilled out Wednesday night, maybe. But I spent most of Thursday, Friday in the expo hall again. I demoed with Dirty Girl Pottery Tools and Kentucky Mudworks. They're kind of like the joint company there on Thursday, and then I demoed with Speedball on Friday with my assistant Erica. So, I felt like those commitments were good. It wasn't too much. I feel like two things were kind of like the sweet spot. If we had a NCECA talk as well, that would have been kind of overwhelming, I think. But yeah, I think the two demos and then being able to walk around and go to pop-ups and stuff in the evenings was a nice schedule.
Last year you missed Tuesday, or we came in on Wednesday and you said the exact same thing, so I thought you were going to change it this year and you didn't. But I think that that's because of the flight, right?
Yeah, so the flight options were the same. The flight was cheaper to come back Sunday regardless. So I was like, do I want to get there on Tuesday and stay an extra day? Like, because I worked my day job on all day Tuesday, and then I was off Wednesday, so we can go to the flight in the morning. So I was like, well, I don't want to, basically take an entire week off work. I took, work Monday and Tuesday. So I was like, yeah, let's just do, Wednesday to Sunday. I was gonna have to leave it Sunday regardless. Otherwise, it was gonna be an extra $200 or something. I think it was gonna be $700 to fly Wednesday to Saturday or Tuesday to Saturday. It was the same price. So I was like, let me just leave Sunday and we'll shift it. So
Wait, 700 round trip
yeah,
for one person?
yeah, and I had to pay for Rachel's ticket too. So um, yeah, so we ended up because yeah, my wife Rachel went with us as well. So we're out of pocket for Rachel's. Obviously, mine's a business expense. Um, so yeah, it adds up. It adds up.
My mom got married in 1982 too.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Same year, same month.
same year,
Nice.
same. I feel like I've had this discussion before, maybe with your mom, but
Really? Well, you said they're different ages though, right?
yeah, my mom's 4 years older than your mom.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think I would have liked a little more time, but I was honestly I mean, looking at it, if I was in perfect health that week, I would have loved to have, all day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in the hall. But I was needing as much time as possible on the front end before we left to kind of recover as much as possible and be prepared for the week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it was good the way it worked out, but having a little more time at the conference would have been nice. But Wednesdays usually Expo Expo Hall specifically, if you go to the pop-ups, there's pop-ups or you can go to some of the exhibitions around town, but there's not the heavy days are Thursday, Friday. So,
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God, you should tell everybody about our Airbnb.
oh gosh. All right, so we we go the Airbnb option. I don't know. I've never actually stayed in a hotel for NCECA, but I never wanted to do that just because it was so expensive to do night at the hotel. So if folks out there, I mean, the hotel is super convenient because you're right there, you're walkable. But we've been doing Airbnb for years. Airbnb option this year, there was a group of five of us. Two of the folks staying in the Airbnb, include Becca and one other person, were getting there on Tuesday. So we had it from Tuesday to Sunday, and I'm arriving Wednesday, get off the airplane, and I get a phone call from some number in Utah. Turns out it's the person that is our Airbnb host, and he says, "Hey, we actually just sold the property and we closed on the property yesterday. So we need to transfer your reservation to the new owner because I no longer own it." Uh, yeah, so that was a little bit of a shit show figuring that out while we're in the airport. I'm kind of glad that we, got checked in the day before, or else there's no telling if we would have been able to stay in there. But yeah, that happened. We had to, deal with canceling reservations, making sure we were getting refunded, but also booking for the other person that has an existing listing already and making sure that we could book it for the proper days and not get overcharged and all that stuff. So, it worked out. We ended up saving a little bit of money on the stay because we got a free day out of it. Um, just because the way the ownership worked and we already stayed Tuesday and he had to refund the whole thing. So yeah, that wasn't the best experience arriving in Utah and saying, "Hey, yeah, this thing came up with our place," and the place was interesting.
Oh,
Uh,
but there's more.
it had some
I
character to it. Yeah, what more do you got?
Okay. So, not only did I find cockroaches in the bathroom, but
Cockroaches? I didn't
I,
see cockroach. I thought you said termites, but I didn't see any termites, but I don't really know what they look like, so.
no, no, termites are small. It was a cockroach. Um,
Oh, okay.
I think it's funny that Erica was like, "Oh, it's a cockroach," but she was freaked out about the squirrel living in the window. There was in the in the bathroom, if you look through the bathroom window, it was like closed off. And Erica had told me, she was like, it's really creepy if you look out there. But she didn't, I know she didn't realize this because she would have screamed her fucking head off. Um, there were two squirrels that were shacking up in the, like, between the window and the covering that was like outside, and they'd made a little nest and they would like curl up and sleep in there at night. And Erica thinks that squirrels are the equivalent to rats. And so she was really scared. And,
You could
and
kind of hear them a little bit apparently at night. I think you could hear them
they would be like
scratching.
around. And we couldn't find the AC until like the second day in or something like that. The air was fucking stale. Also, all the bedding had holes in it because they had mice. And when we got there when me and Andrew got there on Tuesday, there was the dryer was still on. I think that it was broken in the basement, and the basement was like real creepy. Also, I feel bad for the guy who just bought it because had he
I
I
think it was
feel
a woman that we talked to, so I don't know if there's also a gentleman
more
that owns it, but there was a guy that owned it before, and then there's a woman that we talked to for the new buyer.
like what if can you imagine if you like just bought an Airbnb and then and then you find a termite on your floor and some squirrels shacking up in the bathroom, and like, and your first person gives you this crazy review about squirrels and termites, and it was like probably a lower star review because it was kind of, dirty and stuff. Like, they didn't even leave a clean sponge. I had to go get sponges at the Trader Joe's. They also didn't have enough toilet paper. Like, it was rough. It was rough as far as Airbnbs go. I didn't mind because I have low standards, but
I thought it was fine. I mean, I thought the house had a lot of character. I wouldn't say I have high standards, but I think it was like there's nothing that I would say like
you also
hindered us from doing the bare essentials for an
bed.
Airbnb.
You
What's that?
also slept in your bed, you know.
That's true. Yes. I mean, you were going to sleep on a couch alternatively, but yes. The
Well,
couch probably would have been just as comfortable as your bed, from what I hear from Erica saying your bed was very firm.
oh, but I like a firm bed, but it was like a trundle bed, so she had to sleep on the floor, and then I felt bad, and
She slept on the bottom half of the trundle. She didn't sleep directly on the floor, but yeah, it was very low.
the bottom half of the trundle.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, like I probably wouldn't have given them a bad review, but actually I probably would have just because of like a certain things that they like super neglected, you know? But
I
like the
didn't
new
technically leave the review yet, actually. I don't have to leave it until the 13th, but
The new person shouldn't get a bad review because they don't know what they're walking. I mean, they kind of know what they're walking into, but do they really?
I actually I can see that I can leave a review for all three actually. So we had to book the it technically two of them, but they had us book like separate reservations for different days for the same place for the new owner, just because they were like, hey, make sure you just go ahead and reserve it because apparently it got reserved in the middle of our stay, like before they sold it or something. Somehow. I don't know how that worked. But yeah, so I have all three reviews on there that I still need to leave for the old owner and the new owner. So
Well, make sure you say that the old owner left a real nasty sponge.
there was another thing that happened, I think after you left. So they were doing laundry on Saturday, and apparently the water hose that runs the water from the washer just runs into the drain in the middle of the floor, which okay,
Yeah.
but the drain was clogged. So there was like an inch of water in a perimeter of probably 6 feet around the drain after they ran the washer of just sitting water that took forever to drain.
This is what I'm
And
talking about. Like, I feel so bad for the new owner of that house.
okay, we also did a little research. Do you want to know how much that house was purchased for from the
Yes.
new owner? Do you want to guess?
215,000.
Nope. Go up
Shut
significantly.
500?
Lower.
425.
Yeah, I think it was about 430 or 440. 440,000.
That's pretty ballsy, especially when you look out the window at a fucking 7-Eleven with two homeless people sleeping in each other's arms. Like,
I think that'll probably say something about the housing prices in Salt Lake City. Like, wow. I mean, the proximity to town was pretty good, but yeah, that's expensive.
that's wild.
That's where I'm like, some of that maybe they bought it sight unseen, or it sounded like maybe the owner owned multiple properties or something like that. I don't know the previous owner. I don't know, but
Did
whew,
you guys ever use the hot tub in the garage?
Erica and Rachel did. Yes, I did not. I was kind of relaxing, but they used it on Saturday. They said
How
it
was
was
that?
fine.
It was fine.
Yeah, they said it was fine.
So anyway, because everybody wanted to know about our Airbnb experience, that's what happened.
Well, that was on my list to say if you want to save some money at NCECA is to group up and do a little Airbnb situation.
Oh, 100%.
Uh, there were some options. We were looking at some options closer to the hall. I don't think we booked until January, so book it early. That can help with your proximity to the conference center. If you can group up with a few people, you obviously save some money.
But
I never did the hotels. Like, what'd you say?
keep it small though. Like there are a few houses that have like 12 people, and if you are an introvert, that can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah, we stopped by Nico's place on Saturday, uh, Friday night, I think. Maybe it's Saturday. I
And
think
I
it was
mean like
Friday. It was Friday night. Like we stopped over there. They had like 12 or so people. Like it's a lot. So
yeah, and some people love that. Some people love that kind of vibe. But if you know that you're an introvert, try to just find like 4 or 5 people.
yeah, I feel like 4 or 5 is pretty good. Even if you're sharing, I mean, that maybe we're sharing a hotel room in the conference center hotel, like shared hotel, even though it's like $250 a night. You share it with one person, cut that in half. It might not be that bad. Plus, you don't have to worry about transportation as much. You're right there, walkable to the conference center. You can
Yeah.
go back and chill, relax during the day if you want. But I think we ended up after final costs of the Airbnb. I think it ended up being about 150 or so per person,
Which is
which is
way
very cheap.
that's like wicked cheap.
Yeah, so for the whole week, basically Tuesday to we had it Tuesday to Sunday, but we just kind of evenly split it. And yeah, whew. But I had some other things. Do you have any ideas of what you would recommend to help people save some money or be a little bit more conscious of making it worth the trip?
Mm. I mean, you don't necessarily have to buy an NCECA ticket to have the experience of NCECA, you know? If you're not interested in learning like and the hall necessarily, uh you can still go to all the galleries, you can still go to all the pop-ups, you don't have to like pay the price necessarily. I think that
Hmm.
should be noted. Also, volunteering is a super viable option.
Yeah, I don't know the commitment of like how many days you have to be there, but I think the hours are pretty standard that you volunteer for. I want to say like 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours, maybe.
It's like something like 12 hours. And like it can be really simple. Like uh I know somebody that did the bus tour a couple years ago and she said that it was so much fun. Like
Yeah,
they've
so
all
they have, you're the main person on the bus, or you can do like the check-in desk
yeah.
where people come check in. You print the badges, and you could be like outside the conference talks, and you're like checking badges there. Yeah, they have a bunch of volunteers, but it's not super crazy duties that you're doing. And that these are volunteers as part of NCECA, like the NCECA organization.
Yeah.
It's not volunteering for like companies necessarily. Um, so those volunteer calls, I think, normally come out in, is it like November, December, or something like that?
I have no idea.
I think it's something like that. I think it's November the year prior to when the conference happens in March. I think it's somewhere around there, and you can kind of specify like preferences of what you'd like to do, or um, they have like the maker space and stuff like that. I think there are volunteers in those spaces as well. So there's all types of volunteer roles. It seems like fairly low commitment, and you get a free conference pass with it. So
Yeah.
you do your volunteer work, and then you're free to do kind of whatever outside of that. And I wonder if you can, like, I don't know if you can cut it down and just be like, oh well, I only want to be there Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, some of that is like if you're volunteering, how much of that time is going to be clogged up in just volunteering? So you might need to be there at least 3 days, but
Yeah.
maybe you can get away with shortening your trip a little bit and saying, okay, well, I want to work on Wednesday and Thursday for, 6 hours in the morning of both, and then have the rest of the day to yourself to do whatever. But that's
For
definitely
sure.
a good option. Um, I don't because I think the entire conference pass, if you get a 4 day, I want to say it's like $400 or something like that.
That's insane.
I think that's what it is. I'm gonna look it up actually. I wonder if I can see it. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to see the cost right now. Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be able to see the cost. But they have incentives of, okay, if you join as an NCECA member, your yearly membership plus your conference pass is like a little bit lower than paying just out of pocket as a non-member, so they kind of have that incentive. Um, but I think it's still like 360 plus.
Yeah.
So you're paying over $300 for a conference pass, and they do have day passes if you want to do like maybe you go there do the pop-ups a day and you pay for a conference pass for one day. Maybe you pay for a Thursday because generally the NCECA conference pass will include you can walk around like the gallery expo outside of the vendor hall, which is kind of like the same room, but it's partitioned off where there's a kind of a not a curtain, but like a barrier. So there's people checking badges, and you can't really go see the companies like Speedball and Mud Tools. You can't go up to those without a conference badge. So, that's kind of the barrier. And then if you don't have it, you can't go into the talks on Thursday, Friday. But you can go to gallery expositions outside of the conference hall. You can go to pop ups, like Becca said. You could do all that stuff, but you just can't go in like the NCECA organized events that are like, part of the actual conference itself.
Right.
So I don't know what a day pass costs. I would guess a day pass is like 150 or 160,
Yeah, probably.
something like that. So I mean, that ain't cheap either, but I mean, you do get a lot of, if you're walking around the expo hall, people get tons of free shit at the different booths. I know, like, Speedball had bats they were giving away every day, every morning. I was never there at the beginning of the day, so I didn't see that. But did you see them, handing out bats and all that stuff?
Yep.
Yeah, they get swarmed.
Warm.
Swarmed, yeah. How many did they have? It sounded like they had stacks of them each day. Was it like 100 each day or something?
I think so because they had boxes all under the table. So, like, yeah, there was a lot each day, and there was like different sizes, but I think they pretty much only had black, pink, purple, and blue or teal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically all the like newer colors.
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think, yeah, if I was recommending somebody saving, I would definitely say if you can drive to it, if that'll save you some money. I mean, I wouldn't drive like Andrew and them, like driving from Wisconsin to Utah. That's freaking nuts to me. But
Yeah, but to be fair,
they had a
all
pop up, so they had a reason to.
pop-ups. So yeah.
Yeah, still. And you're talking about like the the hangover after the fact when you're traveling back and all. Like, you have to leave X number of days before if you're driving that far. Like Detroit won't be too bad. I think it's a 4 hour drive for me. So like that'll be reasonable. But I would like if you can drive in, um, I would drive in like Wednesday, maybe look around the expo, like the gallery expo a little bit, maybe pay for a Thursday day pass or volunteer, and then just kind of hang around and not do the conference on, Friday or whatever. I would do, be there for like 2 days. Like
Yeah.
that might be a good if I was just dipping my toe in and trying to keep it reasonable budget wise. I feel like that would be a good start for somebody instead of like diving headfirst into the entire 4 days and spending a shitload of money to fly all the way across the country and
Yeah.
hotel and all that stuff.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah, if you can get away with not needing to, rent a car, that would be great. Save some money there. That'll add up.
I don't know how the public transportation in Detroit is, but I'm sure that Baltimore will be good.
Yeah, did you know anybody this year that went through public transit? It seemed like they had a good little like train line, but I didn't really see a bunch of people like taking it or whatever. I mean, it went right down by the convention hall, so I heard they have a good one to get from the airport this year that people could take for like less than $3 or something. So that was
Good.
pretty nice. Because a lot of stuff is semi-walkable to the convention center. Obviously, you can get dinner and stuff near the convention center. Um, Pop-ups and stuff if you need to, Uber or take public transit over to the places where the pop-ups are. Normally, those are walkable to one another. And I only bought one thing at a pop-up, so I don't usually feel too pressured to like buy stuff at pop-ups. I bought one thing, and then you can always get away with like trading pieces if you don't want to buy a bunch of stuff
Yeah.
for like pots and all that. But yeah, I feel like I kind of tamed myself on purchasing a lot because I knew we were flying. So No
Yeah,
big equipment purchases.
you had a large item to fly back with that you knew was gonna
Hmm.
fly
Yeah,
back.
we had a purchase from Click on West that got finished and brought, and we had to fly back with that. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, the other, let's see. Yeah, I would like, I mean, we kind of, we touched on the PTO stuff. I was saying, like, considering, depending on where it's physically located, like, consider some other options for workshops and stuff. There's, depending on where you're at in the country, there's so many conferences these days. And it didn't really help because I was trying to Google clay conferences in the US, and it seems like some of these clay conferences need to improve their SEO a little bit for searchability because, I knew about the ClayCon West, Indiana Clay Conference, Alabama Clay Conference, not Northern, North Carolina Potters Conference. Like, I mean, that's mostly all East Coast, Midwest kind of options, but there are a lot of options to do conferences like this that are smaller scale. They might not have the splash like NCECA would with everybody being there, all the companies being there, all the people being there, but I don't think it cuts down on the quality of the experience just because everything is not available to you.
If anything, it elevates the experience because you actually get to talk to people.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a nice thing about Click on West because there's only like two or three things you could be doing at one time. It's not, there's 15 things you could be doing. And it being, ClayCon being in the same spot, the same every year, you kind of know what to expect. If you want to go hike, you can hike and be like, okay, well, we've seen that place this year. You don't feel like, oh, well, I need to make use of seeing the city because I'm not going to be back to the city unless I make another trip. Like, we'd never been to Salt Lake, so, we weren't enticed to go hike somewhere one day, but some people want to make use of their time in that city and experience it a little more. So they're not just going to a conference center all day, but make use of the time wisely. And obviously, there's tons of online options these days. You can take workshops whenever you want. Um, there's virtual communities. I'll be teaching one for the ceramic school here soon. That's like a ceramics clay camp thing. Obviously, Zipporah has tons of online workshops all the time. Naomi Clement has a bunch of workshops all the time. Um, yeah, there's tons of ways to have that community without having to physically be in one spot at one period of time and feel like you're missing out if you're not there.
Right. If
It,
you, Here, Ryan, if you had to pay all of the money to go and it was on the other side of the country and you weren't presenting anywhere, would you go?
Probably not.
There you go.
Probably not. Yeah, I mean, yeah, and like a few years ago, Rachel was still a flight attendant, so we still had the flight benefits, and we would use the flight benefits similar to how Becca's using them. So I used that going to Minnesota, I think. Maybe I paid for the flight. I can't remember. But yeah, these days, definitely offsetting those costs by working with different companies or finding ways to make it more affordable um, are important to me. Um, just because it is a big undertaking besides just the mental commitment. The mental commitment's definitely really big for me. Like it is overwhelming.
A lot.
So
Yeah,
I don't understand how anybody is not overwhelmed, even if you're a super extrovert. Like it's got to be a lot.
it's a lot. I'll tell you what, Dell might be the most extroverted person I've ever met in my life. And like I'm amazed. On Friday afternoon, we had like finished like cleaning up the whole booth and everything, and he was still talking to people.
Hmm.
And all of us were like sitting just like, I don't want to talk to anybody.
Hmm. You're like, I'm done.
Yeah, it's impressive, honestly.
Yeah, he does click on West too. So I'm curious if he prefers one over the other,
Oh
or if
yeah.
it's just like, oh, it's just different. It's not that
And
I
then,
prefer one. It's just like, hey, it's more chill at this one, or similarly with the, oh, I get to talk to more people in depth, but kind of depends on what you're doing. Like he probably had a lot of flexibility to talk to people at length. Like he's kind of stationed at the booth, but I mean, I think you can choose to make it more in depth with the people that you care to see and want to talk to. It just
yeah,
might be okay, you might be able to talk in depth with 4 to 5 people instead of, you know, in depth with 20 people.
yeah.
So the other way, I mean, we were kind of talking about this, and we've evolved over the years of how we've saved money and got partnerships with different companies. But um, other ways to offset some of those costs is to partner and find ways to demo with different companies. You can obviously everybody can apply for talks with NCECA. We kind of fell into that with the podcast room with Ben Carter, kind of taking taking the lead on that when the podcast room started 2 or 3 years ago. So we kind of lucked into that. We didn't have to really apply for the formal NCECA way of going about it, but anybody can apply for NCECA to be a presenter in the like formal talks. It is a little bit limited options of what types of like talks and categories of discussions they're looking for with like 30-minute talks, 1 hour talks, and like, is it teaching a technique? Is it talking about a certain like is it like environmental things? Is it societal impacts um of ceramics, or like how does it fit into what NCECA's kind of mission is? Like I applied last year, or yeah, I applied for this past NCECA to talk about pot swap. It didn't nicely fit in with, one of the categories of what they were looking for. It didn't get accepted, obviously, because we didn't present on it. But I was like, I'd like to, apply for this and see what happens. So if you do get accepted, you get a free conference ticket. You do your talk. You,
Oh, and they pay you.
yeah, you get a stipend. I think last year we got $200 a person.
Yeah, and we did like a small thing, so
Yeah, we did. Becca and I each did an hour for that podcast panel talk, just the two of us, and we each got $200. So like that was nice. So that helps offset a little bit. And your conference ticket, so that's 400, $600 there value. Well, $400 value and then $200 in pocket. Um, so everybody has access to do that, and I don't think like there's a range of people that do those. It's not always very advanced,
yeah.
experienced people that do them. Like there are some college students that do them. There's some new professionals that are doing them. There's probably a lot of professors and small business owners that run studios and all those kind of things that do some of those talks. So it is just kind of a range of doing your best to be something that they're looking for. So that's a way to offset some of it. But if you're going to work with companies, If I would recommend if you already have relationships with some, you use their tools, you call them out on Instagram, you share them all the time. If you've got good partnerships with them, you can, I would say reach out to them and end of the year. It might be kind of like Kentucky Mudworks. When I talk with them, I usually get with them about, I kind of put in their ear a little bit December timeframe, and then they kind of get back with me in January to say, okay, we're now past the holidays, we're ready to talk about NCECA, and we're ready to like build okay, what days are you available? You know, what can you do? And it's pretty informal with Dirty Girls tools when I do the demos with them. Speedball's a little more organized with theirs, so I don't be shy about reaching out. Um,
Yeah, the worst
you
they can say is no.
yeah, the worst they can say is, "Oh, we already have plans to have our lineup set." And a lot of people some people don't travel to certain conferences, so depending on where you're located, it could benefit you because a number of people, I suspected a number of people from the East Coast didn't come to Utah because it was just so far away, and they taking a year off or whatever because it was going to be in Detroit the year after. So, uh, yeah, I mean, you never know. And some of
Yeah,
them, I would also recommend some of the smaller companies. Some of them run on tight staff. They don't have huge staffs, and to completely have their entire staff come out to NCECA for a week could mean that they shut down operations for that entire week to be there.
yeah, for sure.
So it might help them to say, "Oh, you're reaching out because you want to, help us out at the conference. Like we would love it if you could, you know, work for this day for 4 hours or whatever and help at their booth and uh, check people out and you could get like free apparel for it or they might help you out a little bit. I don't know if they'll pay you. They might give you like credit for the store or something, depending on what they are. But it doesn't hurt to ask, offer your assistance. That one's a little less formal. Like there's not a exact science to it, but one company that was nice to see there that we
Advance.
we usually check in with, Advancer.
Advancer.
Advancer. So Malcolm was there, Austin was there. I'm blanking on what their mom's name is. She was there as well. All the Brown family.
Yeah. Dude, we took a picture with them and they look so alike. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
just put some glasses on Malcolm. You got
Yeah.
Austin.
Ugh. Both of them are so sweet.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Yeah, they've been killing it with. I feel like they've definitely ramped up their social media. Um, it's been nice to they share stuff just randomly that I'm like posting about, and I don't even like tag them, and they share it, which is nice. Just because we're kind of like you know we work together a lot
Also,
closer now. So,
some of the best reels in the business, personally.
oh yeah, you mean like where they show the cutting the shelves or putting the shelves in the kilns and stacking them and all that stuff.
Yeah, like they have a good eye for videos. Um, but they had all of those tiny shelves for the plug-in fire. They just made those, and they're actually a smidge thinner than the regular shelves, which is really cool. And they like sold out of them. By the time we even got there, we couldn't even like I saw one just because maybe somebody hadn't picked it up yet, but it was completely sold out. And uh
They had
oh,
their glaze eraser like demo, so they had a bunch of glazed dots on a shelf,
I thought
and
that
then
was so clever.
people could test the glaze eraser, which is it kind of looks like a kiln stilt or not a stilt, kiln furniture like a post,
Yeah.
and then you can kind of rub it over the shelf and pop the glaze drops off of the shelf. So that was pretty nice little demo, and they were selling the demo shelves for I think $150. I was like, man, if I wasn't flying, I would have totally bought one of those.
I know. Especially those ultra thins, oh my gosh. Like,
Hmm.
I still don't understand how that's a real thing.
Hmm. Yeah, hopefully they get the ultra thins for the plug-in fire. That would be nice.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, so they were great to see, chat with a little bit. Becca and I always kind of do our rounds on a certain day and go around and see L&L, see Kiln Shelf, see a few other folks. But always good to chat with the Kiln Shelf folks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Ugh.
so if you want to look at those shelves, if you want to look at some just kiln furniture that's not actual advanced shelves, you can look on kilnshelf.com. They've got everything there.
And look at their posts. I was telling them that I always try and tell people to go get their posts on because they are cheaper than a lot of the online retailers for their kiln posts. And also, what did you get that
Ooh.
tell them what you got.
Yeah, so I got two kiln cookies, which are, standard advancer shelf cookies. And then I also got like a grinding disc that is oh man, what is the surface called? Silicon carbide?
Yeah, it's the same. I think it's the same that the shelf is made out of, essentially, right?
I think so. Oh, I might have it in the other room. But it's a disc that you put on an kind of like on an angle grinder, and it allows you to clean your shelf pretty easily. It's not gonna. You can also rub it like it goes on the. Yeah, it doesn't have the label on here anymore. I can't see that, but or maybe the label's on the other side. But yeah, so you can grind down your shelf. It's not gonna break. It's not gonna cut into the shelf. Which if you use like a diamond bit on an angle grinder, it could like maybe damage the shelf a little bit. This is not going to damage the shelf. So I was using it to clean off, or Erica was using it to clean off our soda kiln shelves so that we can put some kiln wash on them before we're doing the next soda firing. So
How did
that
it
worked out
go?
pretty good. Yeah.
Was it easy?
Yeah, she said it was really, really easy. It's a little different because the little guard around it couldn't fit because of the diameter of the disc, but it could just, if you had a different size ankle grinder, it could work. But it just screws onto the little bit there, pretty easy. She said it worked great. Be good to like grind off the because the disc you kind of want it like in that because it's like a I guess they call it a cup. It's a cup instead of a like a cutter. Like
Yeah.
sometimes the diamond bit ones are more to cut through things. This is more of a cup situation. So you kind of like you spin it and you put it flat. So you're kind of like grinding off
Like
a
sanding
bunch
it.
a bunch at once. Yeah. So yeah, she said it got the kiln wash off, and she was like getting some glazed bits off of the other shelves that I had to get clean. So yeah, pretty easy, easy peasy.
Nice.
Yeah, he said they do sell those. Those are pretty good. So yeah,
Yeah. So, where can you find all that stuff?
kilnshelf.com.
Advance your life. Advance your wife. Killshelf.com.
Advance your life, advance your wife. All right. All right. So we mentioned Detroit next year. They also announce the 2027
Yep.
NCECA location, which is Baltimore, Maryland.
I don't know, man. I did not think it was going to be in Maryland.
Really? Where do you think it was going to be?
I was hoping it would be in North Carolina.
Would they do it in? I mean, they'd have to do it in Asheville or Charlotte, right? Probably
Charlotte
Charlotte.
or
Charlotte's
Rock.
big enough that you probably have a convention center. Maybe you could be on the planning team when when they're doing their rounds. You can help out with getting it to Charlotte.
Um, I think they probably, I mean, if they ever listen to this episode, they'll probably never call me.
So they put out like calls, not calls, I don't think, but the NCECA organization goes in the different cities have to kind of do their thing to um what is the right way to say it? They're promoting their city and they're trying to give them a reason to come. Just talk about the facilities they have there, the city, the transportation. Like, there's so many things that go into it. Because I remember them talking about it a little bit when they came to NCECA. Like, it's a very involved process to get a bid in cities. It's like a 3-year process ahead of the conference before they can, maybe 4 years before they actually, like, I'm sure there were two or three other cities that were trying to get this 2027 option, and maybe they just didn't quite make the cut. And they said, okay, well, Baltimore made the cut, these other cities didn't. Like, I was hearing maybe like a Boston or Providence or something like that. Like, we don't know what other cities.
Boston would be a fucking nightmare.
Would it? I haven't been to Boston in so long. I went when I was a kid, but
It's so busy. There's no fucking way. It's way too busy of a city. I
what if
feel
there's
like,
Providence, Rhode Island? That's smaller, right? But it's near Boston.
yeah, Providence wouldn't be bad. Yeah, like you need kind of sleeper cities, you know? Like
Yeah, it's got to be
city,
like a mid-sized city. It can't be. It's not like New York City or
right.
L.A.
Yeah, like no, Boston I don't think could ever cut it because it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're bringing like 5,000 people, you know?
But you said the city's too busy. So wouldn't the busy city be able to handle that many people?
No, not necessarily.
I would assume it's a lot of the conference center's costs to actually like rent out the conference center for.
Well, and it's like how many rooms do they have around the conference center? Can it like actually can they house that many people, you know?
Hmm.
Like availability to have that many people there, you know?
Hmm.
Like certain cities are set up for that kind of stuff. Like Indianapolis is set up for conferences and
Yeah,
convention. And like sporting events and stuff like that, like the NCAA and all that crap.
and they have
But
a combine there, and yeah.
yeah, like they have everything there, right? So like Indianapolis would be a perfect city to host NCECA at, especially because of how many hotels they have, how walkable the downtown is, blah 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 blah, you know, how spread
Mhm.
out it is, all that stuff. It's affordable. You can carry alcohol through the city, like all
Sounds
that
like Becca's going to be on the Indianapolis planning committee for NCECA
28.
30. Well, you said you were. Do you want to explain how they historically pick them, like location wise? Do they kind
So
of have a trend?
so from what I understand, the trend is east, middle, west, middle, east, middle, west, middle. So they hit middle every other year, and they hit the coast every 4 years. Like hit one coast every 4 years and the other coast every 4 years. So it's been, let's see, it's been,
You can Google it too. It's on Wikipedia actually. When they were in certain, I mean, obviously, uh, COVID put a little wrench in things with locations and where things were because it
well,
was Cincinnati and then Richmond most
it was
recently. But
Seattle, Minneapolis. Um, I don't know what was after Minneapolis. Then, no, Portland.
Pitt, Pitt, Pittsburgh was in there before Minneapolis, I believe. Um, in NCECA conference. There we go. All right. So, all right, I'm gonna go 2015 to now, because there's some COVID years in there. Providence, Rhode Island, 2015. Kansas City, 2016. So that's East, middle. Middle is Kansas City. Portland, 2017.
Yep, Portland, yep.
Pittsburgh, 2018, which is my first year going. So that's back to East. So it kind of hit the West Coast and then went back to East.
Okay.
Minneapolis, 2019. So middle.
Okay.
COVID. COVID 2020 was going to be, was that going to be Sacramento or was that going to be Richmond? I think Richmond was 2020 originally.
I don't even know.
I think it was supposed to be Richmond, maybe. Or maybe it was Sacramento. I don't know. COVID 2020, virtual 2021, and then they went Sacramento, so west. And then 2023, they went to Cincinnati, which is middle. 2024, they went to Richmond. So they got shuffled. I want to say the one that got canceled was Richmond.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be Minneapolis and then Richmond.
Maybe it goes west, middle, east, west, middle, east.
Yeah, I think it does kind of wrap back to the other coast after West.
Well, they should go in and out. That's what I think because it's a lot easier to get to the middle than the east or the west.
So the middle would get more love than everywhere. I mean, this way they cycle back around, so everybody gets even love every 3 years, kind of.
But like, here's the thing.
I mean, obviously more people are in the East probably than anywhere.
I guess, but it costs $800 to get to Seattle from New York, right? It costs $400 to get to to Detroit from New York, you know? It costs half as much regardless. Like, in my opinion,
Yeah,
it
it
should all
depends on when you're booking it. I mean, I think a lot of people you can get tickets for a couple $100, 200, $250. But yeah,
I mean,
I think you can. I've heard some people getting it a little cheaper. I mean, like I didn't book my ticket until January, so I would another recommendation is book your shit way in advance, even if you don't have your conference ticket yet and you plan on going. Like, I mean, maybe do the refundable option if you can swing that for a little bit extra money, but
yeah.
book it more than 2 months in advance. Book it like 4 to 5 months if you can. But that's also a big ticket. You know, like the rental car in the hotel, you don't have to pay until you actually go, but the hotel or the flight, you got to pay that up front. So, but yeah, so there'll be Detroit in 2026, Baltimore 2027.
So that would
So
mean it will be
we're,
on the West Coast in 2028.
I suspect,
Maybe it'll be in Boise.
Boise. I've never been to Boise. Didn't you drive through Boise on your road trip a few years ago?
Yep. It's okay. It's a pretty small town. It'd
Is it
be
like
amazing.
really small, or is it like a Kansas City kind of size?
Honestly don't remember.
I feel like we've
Boise.
been kind of waiting for like a Phoenix or something.
Ooh, Phoenix would be nice or Tucson. Tucson would be nice.
Is that west enough? You know, there were some people that said Salt Lake City was not west enough. They were like, it needs to be more west than that. I'm like,
What the actual fuck? It is literally west of the Rocky Mountains.
like
Like,
how west do you want? I mean, you can't have every conference in California every year.
yeah, like we're already going bankrupt. We don't need to go bankrupt even more. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty. Yeah, I mean it's not. Yeah, it doesn't border yeah, Boise would be pretty far west.
Yeah, Seattle would be good, but I don't think they'll have it back in Seattle in a while. It's gotten too big.
They had it in Seattle in 2012.
Yeah. How are there any repeats on the list? And how's
Uh, Portland 2006, Portland 2017,
Okay, so we've got a 10-year gap, essentially, that they're willing to have between the two.
Pittsburgh 2008, Pittsburgh 2018.
Yeah, 10 years. So, what was in 2020, 2007? No, 2017 was Portland, right?
Yeah. So 2006 was Portland. So 11 years between that one. 2007 was actually in Louisville, Kentucky.
Shut the fuck up.
They're
Really?
coming back to Louisville. Yeah, no. Yeah, it was.
Um,
It says
so,
universities on these other ones, so it looks like at some point it was hosted by like clay, like big clay studios or universities were hosting them.
well, yeah, they try to find places that have studios near them.
Yeah, but it doesn't say like convention center. Like
Uh,
they didn't start saying convention centers until 2013, where it says Houston, Texas was in a convention center, Milwaukee, Wisconsin center. So like after that, it just says city names. So I guess everything basically 2013 and on was big convention centers. They got so big, you know.
yeah. Okay, I think we should end pretty soon, but I think, unless you have something else to
They
say,
they did have Baltimore back in 2005, so that's the last time I was in Baltimore. So yeah, 10 years,
okay, so
about
here,
11 years.
here's what I think. I think before we leave, we need to predict what's going to be after Baltimore. And then and then that way we have it on the air.
Ooh, we only get
In
one
20
option.
2028, where do you think? I think it's going to be on the West Coast. Let's assume it's on the West Coast.
Okay, 2028. I'm gonna say Phoenix. Phoenix was in 2009, the last time.
Oh,
That's west enough. That's west enough for me.
that is pretty West. Um, okay, I'm going to go. Have they ever had any that have done it 3 times?
If you're about to say Portland, um,
I kind of want to go Portland.
I don't. Minneapolis 95. Kansas City 1989. Kansas City in 2016. St. Louis, Boston.
Okay,
I
I'm
mean,
going to go.
you'd have to go way back. I mean, yeah, since 2000.
I'm going to
Yeah,
look up. Do you think Salem, Oregon is too small?
I don't see it in the list that it was there
No,
semi recently.
Salem's too small. Okay, I'm going to go with. We already had Sacramento. Yeah, I'm going with Portland. 2028 Portland for me and 2028 Phoenix for you.
Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Portland would be racking it up. Yeah, that'd
Yeah.
be Portland 2000. I guess technically Portland was on here 3 times over the that long period of time, but 1988 Portland, 2006 Portland, and 2017 Portland.
Wait, there's been 3 Portlands?
Yeah, but the one was 1988, so
Oh,
yeah. It says
okay.
Oregon Art Institute.
I think that you're right. I think it's going to be in Phoenix, but I'm going to say Portland because I feel like we should have 2 different options. So that's my
Yeah,
story sticking to it.
yeah. I mean, I think you're right. Portland is probably a little more affordable than Seattle for something like that. Why don't you go with Boise? Why don't you go with the one-off that you they haven't been in?
Because Boise's got zero clay representation. Let's be honest.
or like Nevada or something.
Like if we thought fucking Salt Lake City was a shitty clay spot, Boise is like down in the fucking buckets.
I hope nobody from Boise's listening.
Listen,
They're like, I'm gonna prove you wrong, Becca.
okay,
Prove
wrong. I would love to be proven wrong. I've just never heard of anything coming from Boise that's in the pottery realm. Like, just like I've never heard of anything from Salt Lake City in the pottery realm.
you could rival the Arizona with Tucson. I say Phoenix, you say Tucson.
Okay.
You can
Yeah.
go. Okay. Do you want to have a backup? Your backup is. I'll say. Do we want to have a backup just in case?
I'll say Tucson, Portland.
Okay, mine is gonna be Phoenix. Oh, I don't know if this is west enough. I'm gonna say Denver. I don't know if that's west enough.
Oh, you know what? That's a good call, and it is west enough. They
I
have
mean,
had
it's
it.
right at the Rocky Mountains. It's big. It's big. Denver. Let's see. When did they host it last? 2000. They hosted it in Denver,
What was the next one after Denver?
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, so they're counting Denver as middle.
Well, the one before that was Columbus, Ohio.
Well, that
I
throws
don't.
off.
I don't. I don't know that the years leading up to that, Las Vegas, Fort Worth, Texas, Columbus, Ohio, Denver, Colorado, Charlotte, North Carolina,
We're on
Kansas
it.
City, San Diego, like they're not on that. They're not
Yeah.
really in that kind of. It looks like they kind of got to that around mid 2000s, like 2008, 2009.
That reminds me of, okay, so now that we've done that, I'm gonna say one more thing and then you can say one more thing and then we'll leave because I'm at 9% battery. That reminds me of when I was growing up. We used to do the nativity scene, and my mom's nativity scene is like unlike any nativity scene I've ever seen. It's like porcelain fucking dolls and shit. And so my mom had a list in the baby Jesus spot, and because there was three kids, we went
Santa's list.
we no, Jesus's list. We went on rotation. Who got to put up the baby Jesus first? Or well,
Oh, so they changed each year. Okay.
not necessarily who got to put up the baby Jesus, but who got to put up the first piece of the nativity scene. And here's the deal with the nativity scene. Once the piece is put up there, you cannot move the piece. It is set. And so like, she
Mm.
listed out to like the 2000s, like 2001, Becca, then James, then Betsy, 2002, Betsy, then Becca, then James. Like, and so we do
So
it
it's
in
like a nativity draft.
it's a nativity draft, and we do it in order. And I remember one year, when we were in high school and we were all jackasses, uh, I put um, I think Jesus was there, and then,
But
and we
wait, you put Jesus out at the beginning though, because normally when we were growing up, we always hid Jesus in a certain area and then we didn't bring it out until Christmas Day.
we're not Catholic, okay? Um,
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh, that's a Catholic thing, but we're not Catholic. No, Jesus always went in the middle of the nativity scene because Mary and Joseph were around it, right? And my sister always wanted to put Mary up, and my brother always put Joseph up, and like it was like a fucking fight to death, right? And one year when we were in high school, I put like the wise man like facing away from us.
Facing away from the manger, everyone that you put is like facing the opposite direction.
And my mom was so pissed. And I was like, you can't move it. That's the rules. Like, you can't move it. And I think I ended up moving it, but it was so funny because, we're like like when she made up the rules, we were kids. Like, if you put something up there, it was staying.
Mm-hmm. That's funny.
Yeah. It was a good nativity set, I'm not gonna lie. Every one I've seen since then has not been as cool as that one.
I mean, that kind of thing, if it's fancy, like that thing will be passed down, or people, you kind of keep the same nativity set for years, and like,
And it was diverse. There was
yeah.
like, yeah, yeah, there was diversity there. Like, like,
Well,
there
yeah,
was,
I remember the wise men were always dark skinned, from what I remember.
well, ours had all skins of all colors. Everybody was different. So,
Nice.
yeah. And there was sheep and a goat and a donkey, I think.
Oh, I remember the sheep. I don't remember goats, but there was definitely sheep or lambs.
A goat, I don't know, but there was a donkey. Anyway, do you have anything else to say?
I will be going to Detroit. It is close enough that I will be going. I mean, luckily the whole PTO situation, we'll see what it's like next year, but obviously I've been seesawing on the whole when I'm going to go full time, but if I was full time ceramics, would I question it a little bit more? Probably.
Yeah, that's fair.
I would probably question it, but yeah, I mean, I've got to a point where I can offset the costs enough, getting paid to be there for speedball this year, getting my conference pass covered by Kentucky Mudworks / Dirty Gold Pottery Tools by doing a demo. Like it is worth it for me to go just for those two. But, will I think twice about it if, let's say, it was in Denver or Phoenix in a few years? Yeah, I'd probably think hard about it. If it, having it be drivable is definitely really nice, and it is kind of a busy time. Like, I don't know, I've been so on the fence about, you know, do I continue going? Because I feel like Claycon West is like a staple now, but I could always not go to that too.
Yeah.
But would it, for you, would it be hard to decide between, are you going to plan to go to Claycon West? Or are you going to not go to either?
If I had to choose one, it'd be Claycon West.
Yeah, because I mean, I wouldn't say the travel expenses are cheaper. The day commitment is probably a little easier because it falls more on a weekend. So PTO situation is probably more reasonable. You could probably leave on Friday night, maybe, or Thursday afternoon, take maybe a half day or something Thursday. You
Right,
can
and
get
I
out
can
there and it's not as
George.
bad.
So,
What's that?
and there's an airport right in St. George, it's like,
Yeah, so I would. There's probably not going to be a year where I don't go to either in the same year unless something happens. But um, I kind of like the differences between them.
yeah.
I wouldn't feel like I'm completely missing out by not um, going to one of them. But if I didn't go to either of them, I would probably feel like I missed out on something.
Which one would you choose if you could only go to one?
Like for the end of time, it would be hard to go to the St. George every single year. Like, we're kind of getting.
Like, let's say next year you could only go to one.
Oh, okay. Detroit or Claycon West. I would probably pick Detroit because it's drivable.
Okay, let's assume that it's in Portland and it's either Claycon West or Portland and NCECA.
I would I would probably go to Claycon West
Okay.
because the travel cost would be similar. We kind of got it down. I like that it's over, and it's also Claycon West always coincides with Martin Luther King weekend. So there's a holiday on Friday or a holiday on Monday, basically taking off work Thursday, Friday. Like it fits with a 9 to 5 schedule a lot better. The commitment is it's a weekend commitment. I don't come home and feel like I'm dead by the end of it. It's just way more manageable. So,
Yeah, I feel like
so
for me, it's basically my family, Joe and
yeah,
Emily.
Yeah, don't sleep on Claycon West. If you've never been to it, I would say give it a try. Obviously, if you're in the West Coast, like it's going to be easier for you to do that. It can be a commitment for people that have to fly out there, but I would think about it. I would say give it a thought. We always fly to cut down costs. We always fly into Las Vegas and then we rent a car, and rent a car from Vegas is super reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, yeah, make it a trip, but yeah. I mean that it is hard to beat the traveling nature of NCECA because there's a lot of cities that we've seen from NCECA that we wouldn't have traveled to otherwise. I would love to go back to Richmond and see Richmond again after being there for NCECA. So,
Sure.
and for
100%.
you, like North Carolina, it's totally drivable. It's not probably that bad to go to Richmond again.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a weekend trip, but maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, yeah.
All
Yep.
right. Well, hopefully I'll see you all at NCECA next year.
I
And
not.
there's
Probably
no way that you're gonna go. Is that right?
what?
Is there no way you're gonna go, or you're just not gonna do the if you go, you're not gonna do the conference pass, you're gonna limit the time there.
Preston and I talked about doing no conference pass and just driving up for 2 days, saying hi, and then coming back down. We did talk about that
Seems pretty reasonable.
because he does a huge show on that Saturday, the Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
So
Because I mean you could honestly make a great experience with a 2 day trip.
really,
Especially
truly,
if it's drivable. 2 day trip, drivable. You're not
yeah.
out thousands of dollars. You're probably out like mid to high hundreds of dollars. Yeah, not too
But
bad.
we talked about it and we thought about it. We'll see. Uh, but yeah, I don't know.
All right.
All I
Well,
can say,
thanks. Go
if
ahead.
if I was like another featured artist for like Speedball, I'd do it again in a heartbeat because that was really fun.
You have to
So
come 10 years down the road. Maybe they cycle back 10 years later.
yeah, or maybe they just pay me to go. That'd be cool.
I mean, if you were in a marketing department and you were like representing Speedball,
Yeah,
I suspect you'd probably be fine with it because you'd be working. You would actually be getting paid to be there
for
as a
sure.
representative of Speedball. Like, that makes the decision a little easier, I suspect.
Yeah, but we'll
And
see.
you'd be stationed at Speedball's booth, so
Right.
kind of be what you already like or what
Yeah.
you liked about this year. So
Yep.
yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. Let us
Right.
know what you think. And if we saw you at NCECA, thanks for coming up. I had quite a few people say hey. A lot of
Yeah.
people listen to the podcast. It was great to see those folks. And
Totally.
I handed out a handful of stickers, so had some Wheel Talk stickers hanging around. So
Yep.
that was very nice. Very rewarding to hear when people appreciate the place we have in the ceramics community. So that's always very nice to hear.
We're here for the lowercase p potters
Very appreciative of that. We'll talk to some uppercase P Potters, but
someday.
we've talked to some uppercase P Potters.
All right. I'll talk to
All
you
right.
later.
Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to another episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is made possible through the contributions of all of our listeners who always ask us great questions, leave us reviews, and contact with us through social media. Thanks to all the fellow makers as well who take time to be interviewed and share about their lives and businesses.
And thank you to Ashley from Boldover Ceramics and Lindy from Lindy Garner Ceramics for their assistance on the Whale Talk Podcast Instagram. You are invaluable. Thank you to everybody.